Hi everybody, this is Victoria Gobel. I'm so glad you could join me again today. In this lesson, I will be teaching you some new watercolor techniques, and it's great for whatever level you're at as an artist. But at the end of this video, I'm going to be teaching a little bonus lesson, so even if the lesson looks like it's over, stay on, and I'll be teaching you this really beautiful hydrangea fairy included into this video. So don't sign out at the end. Stay on and you'll learn 2 lessons. Hey everybody, welcome to my painting class. I'm Victoria Gobel, and in today's lesson we will be working with watercolor paints. I will be using this new watercolor paint set by Artistro, and let me open it up here. And you can see I've already used it quite a bit, but it comes with a lot of little goodies with it, and I like it because it's very compact and you can take it traveling with you, but all the necessary colors are there. They're great for mixing as well. Today we'll be painting this beautiful fall fairy face, and as you can see, she has lots of fun details. In my last lesson, I said I thought we'd have time to do this, but we really didn't. So today we'll be working with this one here, but the skin tones are somewhat the same. You'll just be using different colors on the fall one. So we'll be working with Jane Davenport stamps, and I'll put it up here so that you can see. This is one of her rubber stamps, and this just makes it a lot easier to paint a face. I didn't want to teach sketching a face out. This just makes it so much more simple to just stamp that on. I use stays on stamp pads, and once they're on, they, just like it says, it stays on. So anyway, I'm really super excited that you're with me today and you're going to learn how to do this today. So get all your materials together. You'll need some watercolor paintbrushes and a little canister of water and some paper towels, and I'll be using 140-pound wallpaper. 140-pound watercolor paper. So let's get started. Okay, to start off with, we are going to take our Stays On pad and just gently rub the top of the rubber stamp. And as you can see, I kind of pat and rub, make sure there's plenty on there. I usually have my rubber stamps on a clear acrylic block, but I didn't have one this big, so I'm just gonna kind of wing this right now and set it down very carefully. Don't move it side to side, and then just press as hard as you can without shifting it from side to side, and it should come out clear enough for you to see it. Sometimes on watercolor paper it can be a little bit tricky, but this one came out pretty good. And what I usually like to do is take one of my little marking pens and go over some of the details to just kind of enhance them. So it's one of those micron pens, and this is a 03, and this is actually a sepia color, so it's like a burnt umber color. But any fine marking pen, you can do it in black if you'd like. I've done it in black before too. But outlining around the eyes and the eyelashes just really helps to lift it out. And when watercolor hits it, or just generally water, nothing will happen to it. It won't smear, it won't run, it won't come off. So that's one of the reasons why I like these pens. And basically you can get these, I've seen them at, every craft store. So I'm going to go ahead and block in her skin tone, staying away from the whites of her eyes, but everything else can get a coat of water. So that's what I'm going to do right now, and I've got my Artistro watercolor set open because I'll be working with a couple of colors just to block in the first layer of skin. But first, I have to put a generous amount of water, and this will help the colors just sort of bleed and blend into each other. So take your time and just make sure you do like below her lips, where her chin is on the side of her face. and go right over her lips. So I'm going to use this, it's almost like a neon pink, but it makes for a good flesh tone to start off with, and a little cad red light, and mix the two together. Sorry I didn't get this in the video because it would really help. And I add, you know, just some water to that too. See, that's a little bit too dark, so I'm going to add some more water to my brush and just kind of swish it all around. Remember, it's all wet anyway, so it's just going to blend in. Adding a little bit more of some of the cad, actually the deeper red to put on her cheeks. And I know it looks kind of sloppy right here, but it will just sort of fade into the water and fade into the entire face. So don't mind the fact that I'm kind of smushing it on. This is just the first layer. Sometimes the best way to learn is just to watch. I'm going to take a little of the red tone, the deeper red. I've got a color chart here somewhere, and I'm going to do a little bit more on her cheeks. That was actually called Brilliant Red. And just dab some under her chin, under her nose, on her lips, above her forehead. Sort of like when you're putting makeup on. Put a little blush here and a little blush there. Okay, so I had done another one, and this one was dry. So I went ahead and pushed the one I just did aside, and now I'm going to apply some eyeshadow on her. And this is just that same beautiful red tone. I have a wet paintbrush. It's actually a watercolor brush that has water in it, and that's how it will blend the two into each other. Just adding a tiny bit more to her lips, under her nose. And her lips are going to actually be a metallic copper when I get done, but I like to layer colors to get the undertone there. So as you can see, I like to do just a little bit under her nose. Her cheeks look great. And now we're off to, I actually did more on her cheeks before the video ended, and I'm just putting in a little bit more. She's got some really nice rosy cheeks, but that's what I want. And it's all going to get, a lot of it's going to get covered up with hair and leaves. So I would just say lots of thin layers is smart. Don't put it down thick or make sure it's really watered down. That's the key. So I'm going to just apply a little bit more on her eyelids. I am planning to put gold metallic on her eyelids. So now what I'm doing is blocking in where her hair and the leaves will go. Everything else on her face is dry. I should have mentioned that before, that between each layer, I like to put it out in the sun and let it dry. And it just makes it, sometimes I leave it wet, but on this particular one, I like to put it outside and let it dry. So we're going to go ahead and just block in everywhere where her hair or the leaves will go. And be generous with the water. And I'll be working with, let's see, what color was that I was working with? It's kind of a, well, it's just a brown tone. I think it's called Van Dyke Brown. And all I'm doing is putting some swishy strokes to represent her hair. Now, when you go to do yours, please feel free to use a different color for the hair if you'd like. The reason why I'm doing these warm brown tones is because she represents autumn. So, and when I do the hair, I try to go in the motion of what hair would be doing. So I'm just putting lots and lots and lots of little strokes. And they'll definitely kind of bleed into each other. Also using burnt sienna in this as well kind of switching off from browns to terracotta browns. And that's, you know, you have artistic license to do that. Don't feel you have to copy exactly the way I do it. As you can see, I'm getting into more of the deeper rust tones and doing some more fine hair strokes. Very good. Okay, so let's see. It's drying very nicely right now too. I'm going to plump up her lips with some copper paint. And you cannot tell right now that it has a shimmer to it, but when the video is over, I'll pick it up and shine it in the light and you'll see just how pretty her lips are because they are copper metallic. And one of the things I love about this set is it gives you, you know, gold, bronze, copper, and silver, which are really nice to have when you're doing watercolor painting. And here is the outline for her eyes. And I'm just kind of wetting it first with water. And of course her eyes will be brown. So I'm just using just a regular brown burnt umber color. Burnt umber, raw umber, brown ochre, any of those colors will do for her eyes. You go ahead and pick. They'll all be beautiful. And I'm just sort of dabbing it on. And because it's wet, it's just going to receive the paint very nicely. She's really starting to come alive now. Okay, so let's get to the leaves. And I have some carbon paper or graphite paper. I had printed out on Google some different types of leaves, and I like the size of these leaves, so I thought, well, this will work. Now, I'm doing this for the person who says, I don't know how to draw. Well, you know what? You don't have to know how to draw. Just print out some leaves, or even go outside and collect some leaves and trace them on. It's not important that you can sketch really well. This is more of a fun painting lesson. So as you can see, I've got one of my leaves, and then I'll continue to do the rest. I will fill in each one with a color and then dab a rich color around it. I thought the whole time I was doing this that it wasn't on time-lapse, but it was. So I'm sorry, you'll just have to go with it. But this is just blocking in colors and putting in some like opposite colors, just as to make it look more natural. When I realized it was on time-lapse, I was like, oops. So now we're gonna do some fine detailing. And the detailing is, you know, I mean, I kind of like the leaves without it, but you may wanna be more of a detailed artist, so I'm gonna show you how I do it. I just take just sort of a contrasting color. It doesn't have to be red like what I'm using. You can use brown, you can use, you know, orange, whatever colors you want. And basically what I'm doing is, you know, I look at my photograph or my leaf and I see where the veins are, and then I just start drawing where the veins would go. So use your own, you know, discretion on that. I'm switching over to a brown color right now and doing this leaf. And again, I'm so sorry that you didn't get to see me fill those in. I wish I had known it was on time-lapse, but it's okay. This is more the important part, is to see the detail, and you can clearly see that I either did a yellow leaf with red on the edges, or I filled in the leaf yellow and put green on the tips. That part you could even leave solid. You don't even need to do a contrasting color. So, and if you're, you know, if you want to practice first doing a leaf on another scrap piece of watercolor paper, I would suggest to do that rather than just dive right in. If you're an experienced artist, that won't be a big deal for you. So I'm just going to continue doing my detailed veining. And this is actually not the last part of the details. I'm going to go back to using that micron marking pen again, and at the very end, and show you some other details that you can do with your painting. But this is in case you want to just go ahead and do these details and stop here, you can. I love to give a lot of artistic freedom. I don't want you to ever feel like your painting has to look like mine, or it has to look a certain way. It should definitely be one of a kind and unique. I really love all the different styles of leaves, and even that little prickly thing that's on next to her eye. I thought that was so cute. So here I'm just going to use my brown paint and just sort of speed up some of the other details. And while I was there, I did paint in some dark strokes for the hair. And now I'm dipping my paintbrush into orange. And as I layer it over the dark brown hair lines, it's just blending in so beautifully. So as you can see how I'm going right over the brown lines, which represents her hair. It's just so beautiful. And all I'm doing is just dipping my paintbrush in the orange color. I believe it's called, where is that color? Oh, it's just called orange. So sometimes these paint sets have fancy names, and sometimes they keep it simple. And I'm glad Artistro keeps it nice and simple. So you can see how her hair is really filling in nicely, and the leaves are in front. You have to be a little bit careful as you're going around everything. You don't want to get out of the lines here. This takes a steadier hand, but the more you paint, the better you get. I'm just trying to get rid of all the little white parts. Give her some extra strokes of hair in the lighter shade. So pretty. Okay, so that part is finished. And as I look at my girl, I'm trying to evaluate what is next. I am going to give her some gold metallic eyeshadow. And see how I tilt it? You can see the shimmer in her lips and in her eyelids. Isn't that beautiful? So pretty. So now we're going to do some extra details. If you like your painting just like this, I would say stop. But as you can see along the top of my painting, I already did a few leaves with the micron pen. And again, this is optional. I guess I just wanted to give her more details and give you more options as to how you want to finish your piece. So basically all I'm doing is outlining the leaves. I'm not going to do anything but the leaves. If there's an eyelash or two that you see that didn't get enlarged, you can do that with that as well. But for right now, I'm just using this micron pen to go over the veining and just give it a little bit more detail. And this pen is a burnt umber color. It's not black. It's a dark brown. I believe the name of this pen is Sepia, but I'll put a link down below. And I'm positive you can get these on Amazon or Michael's, Joann's, Hobby Lobby, any of those places. I think I've pretty much even seen them at Walmart as well. So I love this little leaf right here. I think it's so pretty. It looks like a little fairy skirt. And I'm just going to do the little skipping lines here. And just continue to keep outlining every single leaf. And even where I did the veining too, just to kind of make everything, it just gives it more depth. Okay, we're getting close to done. I love this one little piece that I don't even know what this was, but it was on my sheet of different species of leaves, and it was lavender, and I just thought, oh gosh, that'll look so pretty. So I pretty much tried to just do onesies of everything. Sometimes I do a little stippling, and that's these little dots just to give it a shadow. These are all just fun little techniques that you can pick up. But yeah, she is looking really, really beautiful and looking very finished very soon here. There, it's beautiful. So after looking at it, I decided that her hair needed something. And I thought, well, okay, I'm not going to do too much, but I just thought if I emphasize some of the strands of hair, because hair is so fine, and I thought, well, just a few. I won't do a lot. Just enough to kind of show how delicate the strands of hair are coming through the leaves. But again, when I do this kind of stuff, it's something that I decided, but if you love your painting just the way it is, then don't even bother. I mean, maybe you put more details into your hair with the paint, and which is a great idea as well. So, but I'm just having fun with this pen, and I love to doodle anyway. So sometimes I will detail my cards like this, and other times I'm just kind of in a hurry and I just stop. I don't know how I'm going to give this one away. It's so pretty. I think I want to keep it. Just a few more. I know I always say that, and then I end up doing more than just a few. But it's looking pretty close to being done. I love some of these little wispy ones. Some over here on the sides. And that is, now it's done. Now it's done. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I want you to stay on because I will be teaching another lesson. So don't go away. At the end, I decided to do the hydrangeas on the fairy, and I had that other face that was already painted. So please stay on, and I hope that when you finish yours, that you'll post them on my Facebook or Instagram page. So here we go. Here's your bonus lesson, and we will be making the hydrangea fairy. So her face was already done, and I had blocked in some of the pink and blue all around, and just like I did before, instead of hair, I just did blobs of pink and blue paint, and it blended in with the water, just like we did in the beginning of the other one. Her lips, instead of being the orangey red color, I picked more of a raspberry color. So as you can see, I'm drawing right now, and I am freehanding this just because it's so simple. It's just 4 petals, and I'm using a watercolor pencil. And the reason why I'm using a watercolor pencil is because when it hits water, it turns into paint. So each one of my flowers will have a really soft outline of this purple paint, and I'm not going to be using the marking pen, the micron pen, on this painting. So that's why I kind of want to have a little bit of an outline going on. So it's really just 4 petals. As you can see, I'm purposely trying not to make them all look the same, and I'm doing my petals in different angles so that it really looks much more natural. And I absolutely love blue hydrangeas. So this will be in the ultramarine blue and purple tones. So now I'm just taking ultramarine blue, and I watered it down quite a bit, and I'm just going to fill every single petal. And I'm trying to use a generous amount of water, so because I will be doing some blending while it's wet, and you'll see as we go along. I just continue to fill it in, and of course use a small round brush, something that you're comfortable with. It's hard to recommend paintbrushes because sometimes they can be so expensive, and I tend to use expensive brushes, but if that's something that you don't want to spend the money on, or you can't afford to spend it on, I would just say, just be careful, just buy yourself a good round brush. And I usually only have about 3 or 4 sizes I use. I don't get complicated with all the different types of brushes that are out there. So I just continue to keep filling them and filling them. And when I get a couple more done, I'll show you what I'm doing to the middle, because I do it in sections. So all of these are still wet. So I'm going to take the ultramarine blue again. Now in the video it looks like it's black, but it's actually a very, very dark blue. And it's very wet, so as I tap it in the center, it will bleed out into the flower, which is really what I want the look to be. I don't want it to be a dot. I want it to bleed out. So I wouldn't do any more than this many flowers to do this technique, because eventually it dries and then you don't get the bleeding. So now I've switched over to this beautiful purple color, and on their chart it is called Violet. So now I'm just dabbing it on the edges, and this is how I'm bringing another tone into my hydrangea flower. And it'll do the same thing that the center did. It'll bleed. Do a couple of strokes coming inwards. And sometimes I don't do every petal either. You don't have to do every petal. You can leave some of them more on the blue side, because hydrangeas tend to look like that. So just keep applying the purple. When I get done with this section, I will continue to do the rest of her. Just dab it on the very edges, just a little tiny dab here and dab there. Very nice. Okay, so I'm going to time lapse the rest of it, and you'll get to see me finish up this this level. So pretty. And now I'm going to do a little bit of detailing with the ultramarine blue, and all I'm going to do is just do a few lines going inside some of the petals. Just kind of gives it a nice just a nice natural look. I always love watching the water swirl around like that. It's so pretty. Okay, so now I'm going to we're going to start doing the details in this. So I'm going to start with, instead of wetting her eyes like I did in the other one, I'm just applying the blue. And ultramarine blue tends to be kind of a little on the purple side. So I thought that would be the perfect color for her eyes. She's going to have periwinkle blue eyes. That's actually the color that ultramarine blue reminds me of when you water it down. It has more of an ultramarine look. Kind of a periwinkle. And I go right over the stamping, the pupil of her eye. It just deepens that color. You do have to be somewhat careful when you're doing the eyes. Basically, that and the lips, you want to be a little more careful. But it's just like coloring in a coloring book, except you've got a paintbrush and paint. The lines are there for you to make it easier. So I'm going to enhance her lips a little bit. And they make the most gorgeous, gorgeous fuchsia color. It's called cerise. And I'm just going to go around the outer part of her lips, leaving a little pout going on by not doing the entire lip. And then come up along the sides. There we go. There, it's beautiful. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and also use that same color, but water it down a little bit. And I don't want to put it on as strong as I did the lips, and do her eyelids and around the bottom of her eyes. Now, as far as makeup goes, this is totally up to you what you want to put on your painting. You don't have to put as much makeup as I did. So now I'm going to put the ultramarine blue heavier, not as much water now, because I want it to be dark. And I'm going in between the hydrangea flowers just to really make the ones on top pop out. And this is something I, debated, should I do it? Should I do it? And then the more I thought about it, I thought, no, I really want the flowers to pop more. And in order to do that, you have to put deep, dark shadows in the background. So that's what I'm doing right now. And spending more time on this than I thought, but that's okay. The choice is yours, whether you would like to do yours the same way. You could have left it the way it looks without it. But I just decided I wanted to do that. So bear with me. I just wanted to give it that extra touch. And I am using my smallest watercolor brush to get into those little crevices. But we are winding down here, and we are getting very close to being done. This is truly the last part of the painting. So I just, and I forgot, I need to put a little dot in the inside of every single flower. So I'm just using the same dark ultramarine blue straight without any, without a lot of water, just so it's really nice and dark. And then I'll do the center of every single flower. So just keep painting, just keep painting. I just love the contrast of this one next to the fall one. So I decided to do time lapse and not make you wait through the whole thing. Sometimes I really wish I did paint like this. Boy, I could get a lot of paintings done quickly. So you can see what it's doing. It's really making those flowers pop. And she's done. So I want to thank you for sitting through the second lesson. Here's my little collection of fairy faces. And a special thanks to Artistro's wonderful watercolor set and Jane Davenport's rubber stamps. I have sent away for more of hers. Again, I'll put the links down below. And just thanks for watching. I am so grateful for all of you. Please share and subscribe and come back and paint with me again. Until we paint again, take care. God bless you. Bye-bye.